Tonight, Toronto's Jewish community reacts to a violent attack in New York that left 5 people wounded this weekend.
This is not a Jewish problem. This is a societal problem.
Jewish organizations say anti-Semitism is on the rise in Toronto as well, but are vowing not to let hate win. And
I wouldn't mind if it went to 21 because it makes it that much harder for social access to vaping products for youth.
With the U.S. set to raise the minimum age for tobacco and vaping products, many wonder whether Ontario should follow suit. Plus, gearing up for New Year's, wondering about the best ways to close out the decade? We've got a few suggestions for your celebrations. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. There are just under 25 hours remaining in 2019. Still plenty of time to figure out your New Year's plans. From live music to a midnight marathon to even the Royal Ontario Museum like you've never experienced it before. Our Greg Ross looked at some of your options.
Putting the finishing touches on the setup at City Hall for tomorrow's New Year's celebration. It'll be the biggest in the city.
Typically, we might see maybe 40,000, 50,000, depending on what the weather is.
A night of live performances, skating, and of course, a countdown to midnight complete with a massive fireworks display.
It'll just be a celebration of going into another decade.
Are you ready? Do it right. Singer Zaki Ibrahim is the headliner for tomorrow night's show. She'll have a special New Year's hairdo, and she's hoping the rain is gone by the time she takes to the stage.
The hair is the biggest worry. No, I'm just joking. But no, it's going to be great. Rain or shine.
We're starting right over here. You can't see anything now, but there's going to be tents in the start line.
For the 9th straight year, Peter Donato is hosting the Midnight Run on New Year's Eve.
We call it the last race of the year or the first race of 2020, how you want to look at it.
It's a 5K run that starts at the stroke of midnight. Donato was expecting about 200 runners, and he admits some might have a little something extra in their Gatorade.
We don't endorse any public drinking, but there are those who show up and they've already been to another party.
Do the dinosaur bones look any different after a few drinks?
Some people say they do.
If you're looking for something a little more formal and something a little less outdoors, the ROM is hosting a New Year's party of their own.
Have to be quiet at the museum on New Year.
No, those rules are not applicable on New Year's Eve. So yes, you can bring your party vibe and have fun with your friends.
Restaurants will be packed tomorrow night. Nightclubs will be packed tomorrow night. If you don't already have a reservation, you're probably out of luck. And something else that people are going to be doing to ring in the new year tomorrow night is taking in some basketball action. The Raptors will close out what has been an incredible 2019, playing their final game, hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers at Scotiabank Arena. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
See what's open and closed on the last day of 2019, as well as options around the GTA. You can head to our website. That's at cbc.ca/Toronto. Nick Sternkovich is here with his first look at the forecast. Some incredible temperatures today, but the last day of the year, things will be a bit different.
That's right, yeah, double-digit temperatures today. We hit 10 degrees in the GTA, but as we head to the end of 2019, it's looking a little more seasonal. Here's a look at daytime highs today. As I mentioned, 10 degrees in the city of Toronto, similar temperatures elsewhere across southern Ontario. But we are watching this. This system that brought warm air on the backside of it is now going to bring cooler air and also some snowfall as well. Through the overnight, we're looking at one band that's going to slide through, especially toward the west end, and then widespread light snowfall in the forecast through tomorrow afternoon, kind of tapers off into New Year's Day. So what can we expect with this? Well, about trace to 2 centimeters of snow through the overnight period and another 1 to 3 centimeters tomorrow afternoon. So all told, about 2 to 5 centimeters of snow in the forecast. Highs to 1 degree and still pretty windy. Well, full details coming up in just a bit.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
You bet.
On New Year's Day, a new province-wide ban on ads for vaping products takes effect. That's a measure aimed at discouraging teenagers from taking up e-cigarettes. But many are wondering whether Ontario should follow the lead of what the United States is going to be doing in the new year, raising the legal age for buying all tobacco products to 21. Kelda Yoon reports.
Did you try the new ones?
Shai Beckman used to smoke 2 packs a day. Vaping helped him quit 6 years ago. That's when he started Dash Vapes with one goal: to help others quit.
Both products are, I would consider them vices.
He thinks the new law south of the border will make a difference by stopping some teenagers from doing either.
I personally am a big proponent of it. I think a big source of youth uptake is happening at schools, And when somebody that's in grade 12, for example, that might be 18 years old, buys in bulk and supplies it to their younger students, it perpetuates the youth uptake.
Under Canada's Tobacco Act, the minimum age to buy tobacco products is 18, but provinces and territories can choose to enforce an older age. In Ontario, it's 19. Beckman says while he would support increasing the age limit to 21, he thinks 19 is ideal.
19 is usually the age when seniors are already out of high school.
But the Canadian Cancer Society thinks raising the age limit to 21 would make a significant difference.
The research has found that if the minimum age was increased from 18 to 21 across the United States, youth smoking among 15 to 17-year-olds will go down by 25%. And among 18 to 19-year-olds, it will go down by 15%.
Cunningham thinks the new U.S. law will encourage Canada to do the same, but he wants us to go further.
We also need other measures to respond to youth vaping, including a tax, restrictions on flavors, maximum nicotine levels, controls on promotion.
Beckman says he's on board with the ban on advertising, but a restriction on flavors would do more harm than good.
It is imperative for flavors to be accessible if people want to have any success at quitting. Youth are looking for the buzz. They don't care if it's flavored, if it's unflavored.
Earlier this month, Nova Scotia became the first province to ban flavored e-cigarettes in a bid to curb youth vaping. The Ontario government said it is considering the same. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Hanukkah ended at sundown this evening. For many in Toronto's Jewish community, this wasn't a typical celebration since it was marred by that violent attack against 5 people at a New York rabbi's home this weekend. That has many Jewish organizations warning that here in Canada, anti-Semitism is on the rise.
We've been advocating to various levels of government to augment the resources available. More hate crime units, more specialized community liaison units, more critical infrastructure units.
B'nai B'rith argues those kind of precautions will help all minority groups. Meanwhile, many organizations say they have been beefing up security in recent years. In fact, when a new Jewish recreation and family center opens in North York, it'll be protected by a patrolled entrance with extra security inside. More tenants were told they could move back into their units on Gosford Boulevard today after that huge fire tore through the North York apartment building, killing a man and forcing 700 people out of their homes. As Talia Ricci found out, the city says the units are safe, but some tenants don't feel the same.
It's clear being inside 235 Gosford Boulevard that the building is still very much under construction.
There's a lot of molds everywhere. We have to clean it ourselves.
Jeffrey Villahorta is choosing to continue paying for a hotel on his own dime because he doesn't think the work here is done. He was invited to move back into his unit a few days ago.
The floor there is so bad. My ceiling in my bedroom is almost like you can see the water.
Villahorta was part of this group Saturday calling on the city and property management to take further steps to ensure the building is safe. On November 15th, a fire tore through their 15-story apartment, displacing hundreds and leaving one person dead. Their lawyer wants tenants to have access to the reports done by the city.
The real worry I have is that adequate air testing and surface sampling has not been done. It needs to be thoroughly scrubbed, professionally, industrially, and we need to be confident that it's safe.
But the city says it has done its part. In a statement, it said in addition to numerous inspections of the site during the last month, Toronto building staff have worked closely with other agencies, including Toronto Fire and the Electrical Safety Authority, to assess the building's condition to ensure it's safe before reoccupancy is permitted. Building management also said they went above and beyond the requirements to have air quality testing done on the building, including areas that weren't affected by the fire.
I can't go to work.
But Villahorta says he would rather be displaced longer and wait until everything is completed.
Especially my kids, like crawling around, laying down the floor and all those things, running around the house. I want them to fix everything first before we can move in.
And for those who have no idea when they'll have their homes back, these days are stressful for them too.
It just breaks my heart to go there and see what happened inside of there. It's like it's broken. Everything is just broken. from my heart because, it's where I rented and call home.
Been nervous constantly. I can't sleep at night. I'm worried about other people's families.
Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
A man was hit and killed on the 401 early this morning. A transport truck struck the victim, who was apparently walking along the eastbound express lanes at Allen Road. Police are trying to figure out why the man was walking and whether he had any connection to a vehicle that was found stopped nearby on the shoulder. The OPP is reminding drivers that if your car breaks down on the highway, stay in your vehicle and call for help. A new appeal tonight from Toronto police trying to solve a decades-old murder.
People talk, and people can't hold it in forever and say nothing ever in their life about what they've done.
Donna Uglieve was found dead in a parking lot near Jarvis and Carleton back in March of 1998. She'd been strangled to death. The 24-year-old lived in British Columbia. She was a sex trade worker and had only been in Toronto for 5 weeks before she was killed. Police say she was also 4 months pregnant. Now, they do have a DNA profile of the murder suspect. Now, 21 years later, police are hoping someone will come forward to help put a name to that profile. The Toronto Police Detective Sergeant you just heard from has been solving crimes in the city for decades, but this week, Stacey Gallant is calling it a career. Lisa Shing talked with him today about the cases that have had the greatest effect on him.
I love what I do, and I always will.
Detective Sergeant Stacey Gallant takes stock of his policing career spanning 3 decades.
I was always looking for ways to make it better for the investigator, easier for the investigator to do what they need to do.
The Toronto police veteran pushed to have police evidence for court cases digitized and helped develop the Forensic Video Analysis Unit. And 2 years ago, after the disappearances of 8 men from the Gay Village and subsequent Bruce McArthur investigation, Gallant helped create the Missing Persons Unit. Gallant started his career as a cadet when he was 20. He delivered court summons and cleared rush hour routes and gave out parking tickets before heading to 55 Division as a constable. And eventually, he headed up one of the first teams in the Guns and Gangs Task Force. The later part of his career was spent in the Homicide Division.
The stress level and the tiredness of it, having been in homicide for 15 years, you don't see nice things. You see the worst of everything.
Gallant says he'll never forget the 2005 murder of Rose McGrarty by her husband.
It was my first case, and it was a horrible case the way she was left.
The death of Christopher Skinner in 2009 also left an impression. The 27-year-old was beaten and run over in Toronto's entertainment district after a night out.
That one stood out because that's not the Toronto that we all want to know, where somebody can be out just partying and having a good time in the city and end up dead on the street like that.
Now, after hundreds of cases, Gallant is looking for a change.
I always wanted to experience something else as well outside of policing for my own personal satisfaction, to see what it is like in the corporate world and see what else is out there.
While he says he'll miss police work, he's looking forward to a new challenge with private security company Garda World in the new year. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
I graduated med school in 2009, so a decade ago now. The demographics of the residency from when I started residency to when I came back from research now has changed completely. I was almost always the only female resident in any one center.
Trying to change an industry one neurosurgeon at a time. We sit down with 5 female brain surgeons at St. Michael's Hospital to talk about what they hope for the future for their male-dominated field. That conversation after the break. Well, it's no secret there are more men in the medical field than women. One Toronto hospital is making big strides to change that. St. Michael's has 7 female neurosurgeons in training. Our Alice Chasson recently got to meet 5 of them.
Neurosurgery requires long hours. Doctors often perform multiple operations a day. Stressors include having someone's life or, at minimum, a patient's cognition in their hands.
You're really holding people's function. You're sometimes maybe even holding their personalities. We don't know because neuroscience is such a blooming field. And with that reason, I kind of chose neurosurgery.
I graduated med school in 2009, so a decade ago now. The demographics of the residency from when I started residency to when I came back from research now has changed completely. I was almost always the only female resident in any one center. So to come back now and see so many other women has been really exciting and empowering and enjoyable.
I sat down with 5 neurosurgeons in training, all of them women, about the push to inspire more to embark on a career in the male-dominated specialty.
And I remember when I was a medical student interviewing at a different institution, and how there was a male resident who said, "Oh, I developed such a great relationship with my mentor. We were able to go out for beers, go to hockey games." And I've always wondered, am I going to have that opportunity? Will that be strange in today's context? And
of the 333 neurosurgeons practicing in Canada, only 11% are female, but it's more than we've ever had. And it's trending upward, as evidenced by these women in various stages of their 6-year residency at St. Michael's Hospital.
Did you always know what you wanted to do? I think I've always deep down inside knew, and I think they're family-wise, everyone's like, why don't you go into something else? Like, why are you doing this? And then I desperately tried every other specialty, but for me, I absolutely love what I'm doing right now. How does one establish a work-life balance in this field? I feel like it's...
You don't. Yeah, I'm not sure that it's really something that's attainable, but I think it's not, maybe just conceptualizing it not as a balance, but as an integration of your work and your life.
How many kids do you have? Do you have just the one? Oh my gosh.
It's nice to have people like Teresa, who have 3 kids that I can talk to and bounce ideas off of. But,
could be worse.
Yeah. For sure, but at the same time, I do think it's challenging to leave your family and leave your kids in the morning, and also leave your kids overnight when you're on call. But I think on the other side of that, it's actually pretty rewarding when you're doing something for yourself and you're doing something that you really enjoy as well.
I think also as neurosurgeons, we're constantly trying to prioritize different patients, different cases. So even from a professional perspective, we learn to prioritize very well.
The experts say neurosurgery and our understanding of the brain in general is in its infancy. All the more reason to have a diverse range of smart minds with different perspectives and experiences participating in the study of it.
There are specific challenges to women, but there are a lot of other females now in neurosurgery who are really rooting for you.
That report from our Alice Chasson. Well, you are looking at a live shot of the city tonight after hitting double digits today. And already seeing some flurries, you soon will be. Nick will have the details in your long-range weather forecast after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
At the World Juniors today, Team Canada was down a few of its top players, but managed to pull out a win against Germany.
Kaiser plays it off the sideboards and an empty net for Canada. Foodie in with Delandria. Kai Delandria score. It'll be a short-handed empty net goal for Canada and a 4-1 lead.
Now that resounding win comes after that embarrassing loss to Russia on Saturday. Canada shut out 6-0. That's our country's most lopsided defeat in the tournament's 44-year history. The team was without 2/3 of their top line. CHL Player of the Year Alexis Lafreniere was sidelined with a knee injury. Canada now sits within 2 wins and a loss throughout 3 games at the Under-20 event. They can guarantee a top spot in Group B by beating the Czech Republic in their New Year's Eve game tomorrow. Nick Stankovic is back with his extended forecast. And Nick, I have a working theory as to why we've seen spring-like temperatures for the last week or so.
What's that, Mike?
It's because for Christmas I went and bought my family a set of snowshoes. And nothing guarantees you won't see snow than getting skis or snowshoes or winter-related things for Christmas.
Well, that's right. Nothing guarantees it's going to rain like washing your car.
Exactly.
Right?
Same
there you go.
thing. Yeah.
That's the same principle. Well, there you have it. It might actually work out for you, though. We've actually got snowfall headed our way for tomorrow. This is going to be that snowfall event. About 2 to 5 centimeters of snow in the forecast. Temperatures falling off. But yet another warm-up. So if you want the snow, get out there and enjoy it tomorrow because it's not going to stick around for very long. Here's how it all times out. So I mentioned that there is one band that's going to slide through tonight. This will bring maybe trace to 2 centimeters of snow to a lot of places, especially toward Hamilton, Oakville, Burlington, and areas a little bit further north than that. Then on the backside of the system, we get snow kind of sweeping down. This is widespread light snowfall across the region. That's where about 1 to 3 centimeters comes in. Starts to taper off into Wednesday with a few flurries. That, of course, is New Year's Day. And then by the time we hit the evening, we're looking at clearing sky cover and into Thursday, back into the sunshine once again. So how much can we expect? As I said, about 2 to 5 centimeters of snow, but it really depends where you are. And it's this band that I'm watching. It's been sort of shifting throughout the day in the forecast. So if it shifts a little further south, that means the city of Toronto itself or surrounding areas is going to see more in the way of snowfall. But generally speaking, about 2 to 5 centimeters of snow across the region. Southwestern Ontario for tonight, it's windy. We've got that light snowfall as well, and wind chills taking us into the neighborhood of about -9 or so. And same story for tomorrow, temperatures at 0 degrees. And again, about 2 to 5 centimeters of snow across the region. Wind gusts tomorrow up to about 70 kilometers per hour in southwestern Ontario. For the Golden Horseshoe tonight, temperatures to -1, wind chills to about -7. There's your trace to 2 centimeters of snow, and into tomorrow, gusts to about 50 kilometers per hour. That could lead to some local blowing snow, temperatures to 1 degree. It all changes, though, toward the end of the week. By the time we hit New Year's Day, 1 degree again, and then Thursday, 5 degrees. But by the time we get to Friday and Saturday, temperatures up into the high single digits, and we're talking about rain. In that case, as much as 10 to 20 millimeters of it. Mike.
All right. Thanks a lot, Nick.
You bet.
I put the needle down, and it was as though my mom was in the room because I was listening to the same exact record that she had listened to as a little girl.
It is like show and tell, but with your favorite record. People come together to share what certain songs mean to them. We'll bring you to that event after the break. Henderson Brewing has found a way to mix together music, memories, and a glass of beer. It hosts an event where people go on stage to play a record and then share what it means to them, whether that's a first kiss, a wild party, or even tales of romance.
It talks about real life situations, you know what I mean? Like, it's never going to be perfect, but I'll be there for the whole thing. And it just speaks to everything I wanted to say to her.
Tim Maxfield brought the record he and his wife fell in love to, a song by rock band Sleeping with Sirens. The event started 4 years ago at this brewery to help spur conversations and friendships. The brewery's owner shared his pick at the very first event. He's adopted and never met his late mother, but met her best friend. She gave him a Beatles album with his mom's name written on it.
And I put the needle down, and it was as though my mom was in the room because I was listening to the same exact record that she had listened to as a little girl. And it was an incredible moment for me.
The next vinyl show and tell happens New Year's Day at Henderson Brewing. Well, that's our newscast for tonight and for the decade, actually. We're preempted tomorrow night for Canada's New Year's Eve countdown to 2020. That's hosted by Rick Mercer, and it features performances by Bryan Adams and Walk Off the Earth from Niagara Falls. You can catch that right here on CBC at 11 o'clock. Of course, you can also stream it on CBC Gem or even YouTube if you're out and about tomorrow night as well. Have a safe and happy New Year.